guys, Emma here at the Vlog Lady, and thank you for checking out this video. Today I thought I'd do something a bit different. Instead of doing a reaction or talking about a TV show, I thought I'd do a more personal kind of vlog, and I'm going to talk about my experiences of Comic Cons. I think everybody who's been to a Comic Con has a story about it, and for those who haven't been, maybe some of what I say may entice you to go or it may put you off. But I have the good, the bad and the ugly. So basically my first Comic Con was in 2005, so quite a while ago now, and the last time I went was in 2015. Although I grew up as like a big geek who was into sci-fi shows and stuff, I never knew about Comic Cons until I saw an advert in the paper and one of my all-time favorite actors was attending the Comic Con, and it had been like one of my dream things in life to meet this guy, and the guy in question was the actor Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap. He has a huge career. He started when he was a kid, and so he grew up in Hollywood and he was Oscar nominated, and you know, I just loved him as Al in Quantum Leap, but also in Blue Velvet and quite a lot of other movies I really like of his, but it was his role as Al, I think, that made me love him. And basically this kind of sounds weird, but Al and Sam were two characters who were with me my whole childhood. I mean, they really were spiritual, even though the characters don't really exist. They were kind of spiritual angels for me. So when I found out that Dean Stockwell was going to appear at the Comic Con, I thought, well, I really have to go. I really want to meet him. I've never been to a Comic Con, but it sounds like pretty interesting. So I roped my sister into going, and sorry Tracy if you're watching, I'm gonna tell the story, but I'm really sorry. I had a feeling before I went that maybe Dean was going to be a little bit sassy. Actually, he had a fan club at the time and they were called the Sassies, but that stood for Stockwell Appreciation Society. But I thought that he might be a little bit strange, not strange, because he grew up in Hollywood and because he had lived that Hollywood life with people pandering to him all the time, and he also is or was a artist, a Beat Generation artist. I think he identified himself as. So I kind of was familiar with the kind of people involved in that movement, and I thought that Dean might have a bit of a swagger to him. So I was expecting it. I was expecting him to be a little bit tough. I wasn't expecting him to like pander to the fans or anything. I just thought he would do his own thing. So I was expecting that, and I think that kind of helped me. There is that saying, I think, never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. And I think as long as you have that in the back of your mind, then everything will be okay. I don't regret meeting Dean Stockwell in the slightest, but the experience was not what I thought it would be. First of all, the Comic Con that I originally went to was in a mall, and it wasn't the best of settings, I don't think, for like the celebrities who were appearing. I think that maybe they felt a bit exposed, and since that time I think that the organizers have moved it to a more private place. But at the time I think some of the stars who were appearing didn't appreciate people just doing their shopping and kind of staring over at them. Me and my sister, we went to the Comic Con together. We queued up for Dean together. She was going to get some of my stuff signed because I was too embarrassed to hand over everything that I wanted signed. So in the queue, strangely enough, there was a member of the Dean Stockwell Appreciation Society who I was also a member of. We were waiting side by side in the queue, which was strange. Anyway, I had this movie, and I'm not going to say which movie it is because I don't want anyone to cast aspersions on Dean Stockwell, but basically I wanted this movie cover signed, this DVD cover, and I took it to him, and he he had a little tantrum. I'm not gonna lie. He said he hated the movie and it was one of the worst things he'd ever done and he didn't want to sign it. And he was like, he basically threw his hands up in the air and was like, I'm not signing this, I'm not signing this. And I was like, okay, okay. And then he went, oh, and he just signed it, threw it back. But I did get my picture signed. They do provide you with pictures at the Showmasters in the UK, the Showmasters Comic Cons. They provide pictures that you can get signed, or you can bring your own stuff. On the safe side, if you don't want to be in a situation like I was in, then perhaps you might want to just take their photos. They are not always printed the best, and I'll get onto that later, but as you can see, I did eventually get Scott Bakula as well. I got him to sign it as well, and that is my prized possession. But later on, Dean Stockwell was doing a talk, and me and my sister bought tickets for the talk. We went along. My sister said, oh, are you going to ask a question? I was like, no, no freaking way. I'm far too shy for that. I can't even speak to normal people, never mind like speak to a star. So she said, well, I'll ask a question, because my sister is like an actress. She's pretty confident, I would say. She is usually like the life and soul of the party, and I didn't think that she would get nervous asking a question, but when she stood up, she did get nervous, and her voice went really like high pitched. And as she was asking the question, Dean Stockwell started to mimic her. So she was asking the question, she was like, can you tell me what do you think of the fans? And Dean was like, can you tell me what you think of the fans? And he doesn't speak like that, but you know what I mean. And my sister, she got put off asking the question, and her train of thought, I think, lost her. So she was like meandering through this question, trying to get to the point, and Dean was just continually saying every word, and he didn't stop. He didn't stop until she got to the end of the question, and the whole room was laughing. And my sister, I'm sorry Tracy if you're watching, she went bright red. So basically, you know, you can end up in embarrassing situations at Comic Cons, especially when you get involved in interactions with famous people. And I think that a lot of famous people, especially people who have been in the business for a long time, maybe they aren't quite like us. They perhaps don't have our inhibitions. Anyway, I like the Comic Con so much because I like lots of sci-fi shows. So when you go to a Comic Con, and I'm specifically talking about the ones in the UK because I live in the UK, so I have a limited choice of Comic Cons, festivals, and there are these events that you can go to which are specific to a particular show or a particular interest, like manga or comics, or you can just go to the general ones where they have people from TV, films, and sometimes they have sporting stars as well who come to these events, and you can meet the stars and you can get an autograph. You can pay to have an autograph. Or you can also, some of the events, you can also get your photo taken with them, and you can also go and listen to them talk. But it depends on the guest and what they are willing to do and what they want to do and how popular they are. So I have only ever been to Showmaster run events. I have never been to any event that is specific to any show. I know in the UK that we have stuff like the Twin Peaks Festival, which caters to Twin Peaks fans. To be honest, I didn't know the festival existed until a few years ago. I knew about the one in Washington State. I didn't know there was a UK based one, but I have seen footage of the festival since then, since I found out that it existed, and it looks pretty hardcore. I personally like going to events where I can just waft in and out, and if I get too nervous about something, I don't have to commit to it. So when I see things like these events where you only have one or two guests and you get to spend a lot of time with them, and you have themed events going on, so you see music and art and whatever it is, I always feel like that might be, for me, a little bit too restrictive. Let me know if you've been to the Twin Peaks Festival and what it's like. I would love to hear anybody's experiences of the Twin Peaks Festival, because I know I've been asked Many times have I been, and I always say no I haven't, it looks really hardcore and I think I'd be scared. After my first Comic-Con I went to quite a lot, and because I'm the kind of person who gets stuck on one particular show, I was really into Lost during a big period of time where I was going to many Comic-Cons. So I have Lost memorabilia that, you know, I have tons of Lost memorabilia from the Comic-Cons, and I kind of regret that a little bit now because I am not into the show in the same way that I was. I think that if you are going to these events, that maybe it's worth really considering what you get out of it in the long run, whether in 5 or 10 years you're still going to treasure what you have, whether you treasure what you get signed or whether you treasure the moment that you spend talking to the star or meeting the star or listening to them at a talk or whatever. So like I said, the last Comic-Con I went to was in 2015, and it was the London Film and Comic Con at London. And it was actually a very popular year because they were doing a Back to the Future reunion. So I think that they had the biggest attendance that they'd ever had. And because of this, and because I hadn't been in a few years, it was terribly busy to my mind, and I didn't really have the best time that I could have had, I don't think. I found that it was disorganized. They basically, I felt like I was being herded around like a cow. It was a very small building, even though it was on multiple levels. Yeah, there were people actually just waving their hands and like moving people through the halls, and it was just, it didn't feel like something that I was enjoying. I went specifically to that event because I am a huge fan of James Remar and the movie The Warriors, and I really wanted to meet him and to get something signed by him, and I did. When you have someone who is pretty popular, you don't really get a lot of time to speak to them, to chat to them, to spend any time with them at all actually, and unless it is at the end of the day when there's a bit of a lull or the guest doesn't have any more people waiting to get things signed, then I know people are different. I'm a shy person and I don't really like talking to celebrities. I have nothing to say to celebrities, to be honest. I kind of just have this thing about being in someone's orbit. Like, we are on this earth together, and if you feel a particular way, if something has touched your life and a person represents that, then to be in the orbit of that person, it feels special to me. So I don't really want to do a lot of probing about celebrities. I always think that they don't appreciate it. I just think that, you know, they've probably been asked the same questions a dozen times over. I just don't particularly feel comfortable being another person who asks the same question. So I just keep my mouth shut. I don't think performers and stars and writers, whoever appears at these events, appreciate compliments and appreciate gifts, as long as you understand that they probably won't remember you. I know that I've seen a few girls over the years like come back and say, do you remember me from last year? I gave you like a banana. And I just think that you should be a bit realistic about the kind of experience that they are having. It's vastly different to the moment that you are getting. Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of getting stuff signed as well, when I went to the 2015 Comic-Con, I didn't think that the pictures that were available to fans were particularly printed very well. I mean, that is the one I got of James Remar, and you can't even see his signature. He used a black pen, unfortunately, but you can't see hardly any detail on that, and it doesn't make a good display piece. Fling it on the floor. At these events there are also places where you can go and buy other pictures if you feel they are of better quality, and of course you can take DVD covers or t-shirts or whatever you want to get signed, basically, as long as they are willing to do so. You know, take it from me, you should be careful maybe about what you take in to get signed because of the reaction I had from Dean Stockwell. You know, what I love about Comic Cons is that everyone is just so like free, as though they're just having the time of their lives. So like lots of people dress up. I've never dressed up. I dressed up as a joke once. I turned up to meet my sister and I was dressed as her. She looks pretty different to me. And that is the only thing that I've actually dressed up as, my sister, my own sister. But I've never dressed up as a character from any franchise. But I love seeing people who are dressed up and they put so much effort into it. And I just love how bold and brave some people are in expressing themselves at Comic Cons. You meet the weirdest kind of people, the people who have their own unique ideas about things. I think people who are into the kind of genres that are represented at Comic Cons tend to be intelligent people, tend to be people who do a lot of thinking, tend to be people who want to engage with complex ideas, and people who like to dream, and that's my kind of people. And of course, every time you go, if you aren't keeping up with the biggest trends out there, sometimes you feel a bit lost. All the merchandise that is on offer to buy tends to revolve around whatever is big at the time. So you really have to keep on top of that, or else you feel like you're not being represented and there is nothing for you there. I think my most embarrassing moment at a Comic Con was when I met the Buffy actor, Anthony Head. I wanted to meet Anthony Head because he was in one of my favourite TV shows called VR5, which is a very little known show which actually ended. I think it was only after 13 episodes that it ended. It was supposed to be like a replacement for the X-Files, but it never really took off. But he was in that. The whole show was really important to me and my identity and my growth as a person. I felt like, I mean, that sounds a bit crazy, but I think a lot of people that are watching this video probably know what I mean by that. Like, things can, like fictional worlds can really affect you and who you are and who you want to become as a person. And that's how I felt about VR5. So when I met Anthony Head, I was like second or third in the queue and I got my camera out. I was just going to put the flash off and I thought I had. And I put the camera up and of course I hadn't turned the flash off and I pretty much blinded him. He went, he looked kind of annoyed. You should really ask if you're going to take photos. I've learned my lesson from that. And of course there's always really fun things to do at Comic Cons. I nearly always see like a TARDIS. A couple of times I've seen K9 just like wandering around. Seen like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, RoboCop, everything that you can possibly imagine photo opportunity wise exists. I know that for me and for many other people, the dream Comic Con would be the San Diego Comic Con. If you have the chance to go to that, I imagine that you would be completely stoked because it looks like so much fun, all the panels they have over there. And the scale of the thing is just immense. So I've been to quite a few talks by celebrities as well at these kind of Comic Cons. I think the most interesting person that I've heard talking has to be William Shatner. He was so funny, so charming, had so much to say. He was such an intelligent man, had a lot of ambition, even at his position in life. He was still wanting to do more and discussing that with everyone, being so open about everything he was doing. I have been to other chats where you think you're gonna have a really interesting time and the person doesn't turn out to be like who you thought they were, because maybe you're mixing up maybe you're mixing them up with the character they play. There are people of all ages who attend Comic Cons. From little toddlers right up to like really old people, grannies and grandmas. Whatever it is that you're into, you will find your place at a Comic Con, I think. I don't have any more plans to go to another Comic Con. I think that for me, I do go for the guests. I know they always say don't book specifically if there is just one or two guests that you want to meet. Go for the experience because guests cancel all the time, and that's true. I think I recall going to one event, one of those very old actors from horror movies who was meant to turn up, but at the last minute he didn't. There were lots of people being so disappointed on the morning because they had a sign on the door for people queuing up saying that he wasn't attending. People come to the UK events from right around the world, I think. They come from different countries to come all that way and to find out that the guest had cancelled. Well, I guess you have to weigh up whether it's important enough for you to do that, and if you can't afford it, if you can't afford the loss if they don't turn up, then you have to think about that very carefully, I think. But a big part of why I attend is the guests, because there are certain people like on a bucket list. I guess it's just a geek thing. Yeah, so that's it really. I just wanted to share some of my experiences of going to Comic Cons. I'm convinced that everyone who's attended a Comic Con has their own story to tell, and if you have one and you want to share it, you can leave it in the comments below. I mean, you come away from each Comic Con with specific memories of moments, of people, of sights you saw, of the fun things that you did. They do them all over the UK now, and I'm sure that there is probably one local to you. But yeah, that's it really. Just wanted to share my experiences, and I'm sorry again to my sister if you are watching this for sharing that story. She gets so upset about it. She still does to this day, even though it's like 15 years later. I'm sorry. I really am. Thanks for watching today. You can like this video and subscribe if you want to do so. You can also leave a comment below to tell me anything that you like. You can follow me at The Vlog Lady on Twitter, and I also have a Facebook page. And that's it for now. Goodbye.